from the soul with it. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? The Island Rex coming to you live with yet another video. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be a part of that notification squad. So I want to talk to y'all about why J. Cole's first album should have been his third album. We're going to talk about why Forest Hill Drive should have been his debut album, bruh. Like, I mean, me personally, bruh, I feel like my favorite album from J. Cole would have to be Born Center. I just felt like everything that he was going through during that time, you know, the pain. I love pain, bro. I love when a person is telling their story and what they're going through at the time, because I might be going through that at the time. So I felt like it was his most, I think honestly, bro, he deserved a Grammy for that album. Like, because I feel as though, like, you know, that song, Crooked Smile, was just exceptionally tremendous, bro. Like, that album was just outstanding, bro. Like, a very well put together album, great content, the great balance. I mean, everything that came with the album. A lot of people probably wouldn't, you know, agree, but I don't go with the crowd, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I do my own thing. Y'all can say what y'all want, but I'm gonna tell y'all why I feel as though Forest Hill Drive should have been J. Cole's debut album. Now, when you look at, let's go back to J. Cole's debut album, Cold World Sideline Story. Now, this is when J. Cole, around the time, you know, he got his deal, you know, he was doing the mixtapes, he was rapping over everybody's beat, you know, similar to like Lil Wayne, but it was just a different time. I think it was around like 08, 09, around that time, and J. Cole was trying to get his foot in the door with Jay-Z and everything, then he got his deal. And this album, for me, I don't think it was a bad album. Everybody's like, oh, I don't like this album. I didn't like it because I guess so many people seeing J. Cole as conscious. And then when he transitioned and finally got his deal, they like, oh, you changed up and, you know, you switched. But I felt like as an artist, you got to show versatility. You got to show growth. And, you know, I just felt like the timing, the album wasn't bad. I just felt like the timing of the album wasn't the right time. You know, I think that should have been like a second album or a third album. You know, I honestly think it should have been a third album because, you know, when you come in, you know, the game, you want to tell a story, you know, and we could go over a lot of the songs that's on the album. You know, I felt like Lost Ones was just a great song. Nobody's Perfect. Sideline Story was just that's come on, bro. That's self-explanatory. I don't even want to talk about that. That song was just, that's one of the greatest songs I ever heard in my life, bro. We could just move on, bro. I'm going to just go up, bro. Can't get enough, bro. Bro, I'm telling you, bro. Carry 4 5 like change for 20. I was like, bro, like when I heard that line, I was like, bro, that's crazy, bro. But I ain't gonna lie, bro. I wasn't the biggest J. Cole fan. I was like, bro, like Lil Wayne, that's all I was ever known was Lil Wayne. But as I matured, bro, I was like, J. Cole, bro, is the truth, bro. And I'm going to tell y'all about the show that I went to. My cousin, shout out to my cousin Squeak. He took me to see J. Cole live, bro. And I'm going to tell you, bro, hold on. Let me get back to this, bro. Let me get back to this real quick, bro. But Lights, Please, Dollar and the Dream. You know, you had a lot of fillers on this album, you know, Rise and Shine, you know, Work Out for Me. I actually felt like that was a great song. But there was a lot of people like, nah, you know, and that's going to be a song that you're going to hear in the clubs for years and years. So people can say what they want. But, you know, I think once you go back and you analyze J. Cole's career and look at his body of work, I think you're going to finally give him the credit that he deserves. Well, you might never give him the credit he deserves. It is what it is, but I feel like he deserves a lot. And I'm going to tell y'all when this video ends why J. Cole deserves some type of award or something before his career is over, man. I feel like he got a long career to go. But at the same time, we have to appreciate the, you know, the leaders of our generation. And I feel like him and Kendrick Lamar are definitely 100% leaders of this generation. But this album, I just felt like it was a great album. If I had to rank it, you know, that Mr. Nice Watch, I forgot about that song that I heard with Jay-Z. I felt like it was an okay song. It was decent. You know, it wasn't better than Can't Get Enough to Me. It wasn't better than Sideline Story. You know, I felt like a lot of those songs could have been taken out, but it is what it is, man. That was a good album, solid album. I would say out of a 10, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10, you know, and to be fair, I give it 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't a terrible album, bro. It just, I think the timing was off, and you know, the interludes and all that stuff. Like during that time, like a lot of the music came from the mixtapes. So it wasn't really nothing new, especially for his core fans. Like they already, heard, but like he said, he wanted to bring the people who was outside of his core into, he wanted to get more fans and touch different people, different demographics. So I could understand why he did a lot of these hits, which is amazing because you're on the radio and your music is broadcast live to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So, he put it into their face. So you can't blame him. I feel like it was a great decision, but like I said, this album during that time, 2009, I was really like into Lil Wayne. Like, I was a huge Lil Wayne fan. So like just when Drake and J. Cole was first getting their foot through the door, so I wasn't even really paying attention to them, and I was kind of more so leaning towards Drake during that time because where I was at during that time, like we grow mentally, so mentally where I was at is not where I'm at now. So if looking back on it now, I would have probably like if they were coming out now, I would listen to J. Cole. I would prefer J. Cole over, listening to Drake during this time. But let's move on to 2014 Forest Hill Drive, bro. Let's talk about this album, man. I'm talking about great album, bro. Like my favorite song on this album was Fast Squad, bro. I ain't gonna lie, Fast Squad was a dope record, bro. Nigga, like, so then I'ma ride for you either way, go. And then the last verse, bro, on Fast Squad, right? Everything that he said is coming to fruition. You know how all the white rappers is taking over the game. They have stole the sound. I mean, you look at Lil Pump with Gucci Gang, Post Malone. You look at G Easy. All these artists are dominating though. They dominating the charts, bro. And the niggas got to go. Okay, we got to go. They putting us out, so we're gonna have to create our own lane. But that's another conversation for another day. But J. Cole proved to me that he's the best rapper alive, bro. I don't care what nobody say. Y'all might say Kendrick Lamar, bro. I don't care what y'all say, bro. But I feel like Kendrick Lamar. I feel like these artists are the best until I come in the game, bro. But that's neither. We're gonna say that for later on. You know what I'm talking about. But we're gonna talk about some of the great tracks that stand out. Wet Dreams. Now everybody has went through this situation where they didn't want to stand up in class, and everything he was talking about I've been through before. And if you when you're young, you probably won't understand that song, but once you get older, everybody has been through that. And like, it's been plenty of times where you a virgin and you losing your virginity and you just talk about that moment. I love how he told that story. I felt like it was superb, and he took it to a place. He went back. I felt like with this album, this is why I felt like this album should have been his first album. But first, let's go back to the song. Let's go back to the songs. Tell the Two Cities, Fire Squad, GOMD, no role models, bruh. Do I even have to? Come on, bruh. Like, no role models was one of the best songs ever, bruh, put together because we don't have no role models, and especially nowadays in this generation, because the women that we coming up with, they might have been sexy, they might have been fly. And I talked about this with my last video because I felt like the actors and the actresses back then, they brought their reality and their real life to the big screen, whatever they were going through, and they had to earn their spot at the top. Now it's like with this generation, it's like they're doing it so easily, they're not earning it, they're not building it from the ground up, there's no foundation. And then on top of that, it's like these mainstream corporations are you know, dictating our reality. These, the actresses and the actors from the 90s, they earned it. They brought their, real life to the big screen. Now the corporations are dictating our reality, And in this album, this album sold no features, bruh. Like, come on, bruh. No Rihanna on the album, no Beyonce, no big artists on the album, bruh. I'm just saying, bruh. Like, he did this. He didn't diss anybody to get all these records, bro. He didn't have no famous producers or nothing like that, bro. This man just put the album out, bro, to his core fans, bro. Went platinum, bro. I'm just saying, bro. J. Cole, bro. I'm gonna tell you why J. Cole deserves some awards or something. Like, this guy is. Let me tell you about this guy, man. But let me tell you what this man did. First of all, this is a guy who went to. This is with around the time of For Your Eyes Only, by the way. So, but I don't care, bro. I just felt like this man has done a lot. This man, after the Mike Brown situation, whatever, he's right there marching with his people. Right after that, bro, he's socially conscious. He's socially aware of the things that's going on in America, bro. He was there, and what did he do, bro? He was marching with his people. He was there in the community, trying to figure out, having conversations, and letting people get off their chest how they feel, how we can make change to the community. I'm talking about a guy who was at Rikers Island on a yard with some of the realest gangsters. Come on, bro. Like, I'm talking about, come on, bro. We do a shit. This man does a show 2 nights in a row, sold out the Forum. 19,000 people. Who could do that, bro? And just have your own artist, bro. That's another level, bro. I feel like J.Cole is extremely talented, extremely skilled, outstanding artist, bro. He deserves a Grammy or a Best Male Hip Hop. If they don't, bro, I'm so through with hip hop, bro. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, but if I had to rank this album, bro, I would just give it definitely a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. I say an 8.5 out of 10, bro. I ain't gonna sit up here and just, because I know a lot of people just, just go with the flow and go with what everybody say and be like, oh, that's his best album. It's the classic and blah, blah, blah. I do think that's a classic, but I don't think it's his best album. I think Born Sinner was his best album, but that's for another day. All right. So I just felt like this should have been his debut album because it's going back to the foundation. It's going back to where it all started from. And I felt like there wasn't no transition, from the beginning. Like I said, with the hits, normally you see an artist when they come in the game, they tell their story and what they went through, and then you see them. It's a build up. I felt like with you seen it with Kanye West with the college dropout, and you had late registration, graduation, and it was a build up until where he is now. With Lauryn Hill, you had the miseducation. A lot of artists, majority of artists, they build. Nas with the little kid, and then he came up. When it was written, and then it built from there. So it's about a build, and I felt like you told your story. He had his birthday as a track, and it was a story from the beginning, and I felt like he should have built from there. That should have been the debut album. And with J. Cole, it's just about timing. His timing seems a little bit off, but however he's feeling at the time is how he feel. I don't know, how he's feeling. That's that man's mind. So whatever he's going through is what he's going through. But what I'll say is, bro, like I felt like this album should have been the first album. And everything he was talking about, the stories of, his mother, what it meant to him, how sentimental everything was to him in life during that time when he was growing up, that house with the meaning of that house, the emotions that he felt coming up during the struggle and, trying to make it into the game and the things that he didn't have. And I felt like it was just a great album, bro. Like it was a well put together album. I still don't think it's better than Born Sinner, but that's just my opinion. But hey, it is what it is, bro. But anyway, y'all get in that comment box, like, share, subscribe, bro. Just like the button, share, subscribe that, bro. Just share and subscribe that, bro. I'm out, dog.
Yeah. Competition in my mind with your favorite rapper. I keep it G just like the helmet of a Green Bay Packer. No fear tatted across my stomach, you can never scare me. Look at these rappers surviving on popularity shit. Throw them in the lines, then with the killer the god. No Karuchi, but you get your head twist with these claws. Lion King, motherfucker, evil nigga like Scar. Mufasa, you hanging off that cliff, I throw your ass off.